Hello, welcome to episode 167 of the Casual Tryhard Podcast. I'm Brian,
And I'm James.
and I don't know what this episode's about.
It's a surprise. I audibled literally like 2 hours ago.
He's like, "We want to do the show about this thing?" I was like, "Sure." Then I show up and he's like, "It's a different thing."
Yep,
Like,
something
all right.
completely else. Today we're talking about what we want out of Magic, we got a whole bunch of news coming up. Huey's got his OP stream this week. We got new Capenna coming out. And we're going to talk about what we want out of Magic in general, and then maybe what we're hoping to get out of some of this news. Should be interesting. Surprise.
I might have a title.
Uh-oh, what's the title?
I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want.
Okay, that's pretty good.
or we could be the Spice Boys.
The Spice Boys. You know, we are both Root Wallace today, so.
Yeah, there we go. The Root Ralla Boys didn't sing, though, about what they really, really wanted.
No, they didn't. They just got angry.
Yeah. So if you had a better name for this show and want to tell us, you can get at us on social media. All of our links are in the description.
They sure are. Don't forget to check our Discord. If you're interested at all in interacting with us, Discord's a pretty good place to do that. And we've also got some stuff that we're going to try out in Discord as well. So make sure you sign up for Discord. I'll get back to that in a second. If you're looking to support the show, you can do so in two different ways. First is our TCG player affiliate link. It's tcg.CasualTryHardMTG.com. Follow that link to get to TCG player. Anything you do after that will help support the show. We'll get a percentage of whatever you buy to help keep the show going. Also, if you want to support us a little bit more directly, you can do so at patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. Patrons get access to our show notes, even these ones that I change at the last minute. They also get access to our pre-show, which is kind of us just catching up. We don't get to see each other as much as we used to, so it's us catching up, making sure our equipment's working. We're both old and have a hard time figuring out these newfangled contraptions, so it's a real struggle sometimes to make sure our equipment works. So we do that during the pre-show, and once in a while we talk about like plans for the show. That's what this pre-show was, a lot of us planning. So if you're interested in any of that, it's kind of just a little bit more of what we do on the show, but more raw, less scripted. I don't know. It's just us.
It's just more us.
It's just more us.
If you like us, it's more us.
You can check out our pre-show and Patreon. Also, probably next month, it'll be time to do another Patreon give back. Usually every couple months I send something out to our patrons just as a thank you to let them know that we appreciate them, even though they should already know we appreciate them. So if you want to get on the Patreon give back list, sign up, shoot me your address, and we'll get that squared away. So for our news, we are going to try and start hosting a tournament. Might be like a monthly thing. We'll do one once a month, and we'll see how it goes. But we are going to do kind of a trial run next Saturday. So April 7th, we're going to shoot for. I'm going to make a room.
April 9th, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, April 9th. 9th is a Saturday. April 9th at 7. I'm going to make a room in our Discord so that we can kind of communicate with everyone that's interested. We would appreciate it if you helped us out and signed up and played through the tournament. Probably nothing crazy as far as prizes go. Maybe I'll put together some sort of swag bag for whoever wins, but eventually we would like to do some prizes. Maybe we'll run like an entry fee through Patreon or MTG Melee or something along those lines. We still got to work on figuring that out, but we want to try and run a tournament to start with. So if you're interested in helping us out, hop on over to Discord. Like I said, I'll be making a room for the tournament stuff, and I'll post up any additional information in there. I guess I should tell you the format, huh?
That'd be important.
We're going to do 60 card standard pauper, best of 3 with a sideboard.
Yeah, so like we said, this first tournament is for us as the tournament organizer to like learn how the Melee interface works.
Mm-hmm.
and for like people who may not, who want to help us out and populate the tournament to also kind of like learn how melee works if they've not used it before.
Yeah.
So it'll be a learning process for all involved, but we're hoping to like get a practice one in, make sure we know what we're doing, so that when we do the next one, it runs smoothly, and hopefully we can get a lot of participants in the next one.
Yeah.
So that I'd rather have some growing pains with like 8 people who understand that we're learning than just like jump in and be like, hey, we want all of you in here and
try to run a 30-man event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, this is a disaster.
Yep.
So
it's going to be on Arena. So
yeah.
It'll be Arena, not Magic Online. And our goal is to kind of keep these pretty accessible. So we're going to do like some oddball formats that don't have like an established meta. We're starting with 60 card standard Pauper, something that doesn't see a ton of play in like the wider community. Also something that's easy for people to get into, easy to build a deck for. A little bit lower power level, a little bit less complicated board states, hopefully. Less questions. Like I said, the goal is to kind of keep it accessible. Not only for, ease of running a tournament, but also for like our listeners. We want to make sure that anyone who's listening has an opportunity to jump in. And if you haven't played like tournament Magic before, maybe kind of introduce you to some of the tournament Magic stuff. So
yeah, and being standard, even if you don't have a big collection, if you like open some packs, right, you'll hopefully get enough commons and common wild cards that you can put something together. It'd be easier than like historic.
Yeah.
Where, if you were like, well, I need commons from Ixalan for whatever reason, right? Now you're opening Ixalan packs and you're not getting cards that are standard legal.
Yeah.
And
not helping you out at all.
Yeah, it's going to make your life harder where, you're like, oh, I need Kamigawa and Neon Dynasty commons.
Yep. Okay.
Like, that is something that is, like, going to be useful for you a little bit longer term.
Yeah, and not saying we won't change the format up either. Like, I mean, maybe we will take a month or two and run, like, a historic Pauper or maybe some peasant events or something. Change it up a little bit. But, like I said, we want to try and keep it pretty accessible. I don't think we're going to be doing, like, any brawl or like anything like that where you need, a deck of singleton rares and mythics and it's going to cost you $2,000 to build a deck. We're going to try and keep it accessible to everybody. So,
hey man, they can just spend $50 on 12 rare wild cards and 4 mythic rare wild cards. That is super accessible.
Yeah, and then just scale everyone. That up to, a historic event where you need 100 cards and. Yeah.
Super accessible.
Super accessible, yep. No problems with the economy at all.
None. It's great. We fixed it.
Yep.
So, we're looking forward to this. Mm-hmm. And, if we can, like, long term, if we can figure this out, maybe one day we move to, like, recording some commentary or something like that.
Would be awesome.
Where, we were just talking that, people are so hungry for like Magic coverage. They're like, watching old coverage from like a million years ago. And then I haven't had a chance to watch it, but like, ANZ MTG is like bootleg in air quotes streaming like legacy events in paper.
Yeah.
He's like flying across the country and broadcasting events on his own. Because he's like, we have to do this or, like, Legacy dies.
Yep.
So here I go. So, it'd be something different and fun. And, maybe we can get something started with the podcast folk.
Yeah. I think it'll be fun.
All right. So, we audibled. And so, we're going to be talking about things that are coming up. So, like you said, what are we hoping to see happen in the next, 6 months? Or really, like, with the Huey stream, when this comes out, like, 6 hours. Or what happened 6 hours ago? Was it good? Was it bad?
Well, I mean, I was just thinking, like, to start with, we could just kind of talk about what we wanted out of Magic in general. Either changes we want to see happen, or things that we missed that we want to come back, or just, like, the reasons why we play the game that I think are lacking right now. And I'm sure you're going to agree with me. The first thing is just, like, some way to play competitively. Like, there hasn't really been competitive Magic in quite some time, at least not that's, accessible or fun or the way we used to do it, right?
Yeah, like, there have been competitive arena tournaments, like, kind of what we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, they don't kind of scratch that same itch.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, right, like, you were kind of limited to arena formats that were, like, some of the worst standard formats that we've had in years, which doesn't make you really want to run out and, like, play standard and, like, participate. And, like, Historic has not been the best.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, Historic's just been weird because, like, you can't, like, make a deck because they just, like, throw 30 more cards at you
randomly all the time.
And you're just like, oh, this is awful. So, yeah, like, the need to, like, get good at a deck and, like, understand the metagame. Right? There's not been a need for that in months and months and months.
Right. Years.
Yeah, years, really. So getting to interact with that, like, being excited to wake up at 6:00 in the morning to drive to Columbia for an event, right?
Yeah.
Like,
hoping,
being like, oh, like, I could win this, and then, like, go to an RPTQ,
right?
And
make it to the next level.
Yeah,
and that kind of leads into the next thing that, like, I'm kind of missing is I'm calling it a way to engage with the game metasocially.
Metasocially,
yeah. Like, not just socially. Like, I don't want to play a social game of EDH. I'm talking about, like, the bigger game. Like, we talk about metagame being the game outside of, like, a single game where you show up to a tournament, and a metagame is kind of the larger collection of games that are happening, like what you can expect to see in a tournament. So I'm calling this metasocially, where it's not really like a single, like the social aspects of a single game, like the social aspects of a tournament. Like going to a tournament, hanging out with your friends, telling bad beat stories in between rounds, going out back after the tournament, whatever.
So, what you're saying here is you missed the smoke breaks.
Sure. Basically,
yeah. Yeah, think about, like, in between rounds, right?
Yep.
There would be the smoker or two of the group, right? You just knew that, like, after your round, you would, like, wander outside and find them.
Right.
And they'd be talking to other people from your group, people from your LGS that came in another group, right? Like, the social aspect. And it might just be that we're, like, even outside of Magic, we're, like, we've all kind of been missing that.
Yeah.
And, like, things are getting safer. I don't know if I'm full to, like, safe yet, but, like, things are getting safer and it's starting to come back, and that's, like, a big part of, like, what Magic lost, right? There's, on one hand, people are like, oh, like, it's super cool that, like, you can, like, play high level Magic in your pajamas at your house, and it's like, yeah,
that's only part of the story, though.
Yeah, but for the vast majority of people, right, it wasn't. They were there to, like, play Magic, but they were there to have a good time.
Right.
And, like, when the Magic let you down on the good time, you always had, like, your friends.
Absolutely.
Right? The people that you came with. And now when, like, Magic lets you down on the good time, you're just like, close arena. Or, like, was it Sunday? Like, so on the weekends I will work out. And as I'm working out, I will play Arena on my iPad. And I like got done working on, I was playing games, and I was just getting like the most horrific hands and like beats. Just one of those times where like you play like 8 or 9 games and you're just like they were all horrible. Like when you're playing and you're like, okay, what is the worst possible thing that can happen here?
Mm-hmm.
And it just happens.
Yeah.
Right. And like I went out to the kitchen, like start making breakfast. I was like, took a deep sigh because something ridiculous happened. I was like, well, it's like that's a deep sigh. And I was just like, I need to turn this off. This has not been fun for a while. Right. And like you don't have like there's always, at a tournament usually there's a different event. Like if you're at a GP or a Magic Fest or an SCG Con or whatever they're calling them now, right?
Yeah.
You could be like, you know what? Today's not my day with my modern deck. I clearly picked the wrong deck to play. I can drop and go play other event.
Yeah. Draft.
Right? I can go draft. I can
whatever.
go like do something else, right?
Yep.
Like, we've lost that, and we've lost the things aren't going well, but like someone in your group is doing well.
Mm-hmm. Or someone in your group is doing worse than you.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, I'm not the worst.
Yeah.
But oftentimes it was better when you were like, oh man, like so like how'd you do? Like you're 5-0. Did you get to 6?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like those things were exciting for you.
Yep.
And like
getting worked up over tournament math.
Yeah. And Arena has made Magic much more solitary.
Oh, for sure.
Right? So it went from Magic the Gathering to Magic the Alonening or something.
Yeah. Magic the Cattening.
The wedding?
Cattening?
Cattening?
Yeah. With your cats.
Yeah, just the cats.
Yeah.
But like Magic can be a frustrating game, and like when you don't have other people that are like going through the same thing,
mm-hmm.
right? That you had that community with, it becomes more difficult to like kind of work through like the bad beats and stuff, and you've just lost that, and you've lost oh man, like I'm gonna go tell so and so about like what happened. Yep. Right.
It's also like it helps you be a better player too, because a lot of times in between rounds, like you said, you hang out with some friends till the next round starts and you start going over the games that you've just played, and maybe you didn't realize the mistake you made. Magic is a very complex game with tons of decisions, and you might not even realize you made a wrong decision, but in going through, a turn sequence with some of your buddies, you might be able to pick out what you did wrong, or maybe a buddy picks out what you did wrong, and like it helps you grow as a player for sure.
Or like, I kept this hand. Should I have kept this? Yeah. Like, the first decision you make every game, keep them all, and you're like, I kept this in the dark. Was that right? Mm-hmm. Oh no, like you're not supposed to keep that hand with that deck. Or like my opponent was on this game 2, so I kept this. Right? Like having someone to bounce that off of. Like I find a lot of times on Arena, right? Like the game's not going well, and I'm just like, yep, moving on. Yep. Right. And now sometimes you're like, I'm 0% to win this game. Moving on. Yeah. But other times, sometimes it's just like, I think I've said this before, like, this has ceased being fun. Mm-hmm. Like, I might be able to claw my way back into this game if their hand is all lands, but I don't want to bother to find out. I'm just going to move on. Yeah. So, like, you've lost that, like, the fun road trippy thing, being in your buddy's car and the iPod just randomly playing, chapter 15 of like Harry Potter in the like Secrets of Azkaban or whatever it is. Yeah. And Prisoner of Azkaban, there we go. And Chambers of Secrets, Prisoner of Azkaban. And like getting through the whole chapter before anyone says anything. Like, oh, how long has it been playing? Oh, 35 minutes. Oh, oops. Right? Like you don't get that stuff anymore. Yeah. Right? Like, you don't get to go to the like weird restaurant and like have the world's weirdest waitress and all these things. Like you've missed all that. Or robo waitress, or going to the world's best Outback where they like open and pour your beers for you. like at your table. Like you don't get that kind of stuff anymore.
Yeah. And
so
like not just like the big events too, but even like at the local game store level. Like I miss having local events fire. They're like, this is going way back, even like for there to be a reason to show up to FNM. Like once they started messing around with, FNM promos and giving out tokens instead of promos, and then these weird promo packs, like people really kind of stopped caring about FNM. Like give people a reason to show up to FNM.
Yeah. And like the promo packs were so like counterproductive because they were like, we want F&M to be this like fun thing, and then at least at our store it got cutthroat over those promo packs.
Oh yeah, super, like to the point where he stopped giving them out. Like all it did was incite arguments. Oh, the tournament should be run differently, the whatever.
And so like it just wasn't a like,
had the opposite
it just didn't
effect.
do what it do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like think about how many times like F&M turned into like 3 rounds and then a like hour and a half conversation outside the store.
Mm-hmm.
Right, where like it was probably more about the conversation outside the store. Like F&M was an excuse for people to get together.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
I can't even tell you the number of nights I spent, hanging out outside the store until 1 or 1:30 in the morning when the tournament had been over for hours at that point.
Yeah. And part of this is Magic and part of it is COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's kind of hard to you can't wholly blame changes in Magic without like acknowledging COVID.
Oh, I'm not blaming anybody. This is just stuff I want to see back.
Yeah. But like, hopefully we can get to some of that. But, like we've talked about, like it's going to be like meeting a new group of people because some people might not be coming back.
Oh, I think most people aren't coming back, at least locally here.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned in the pre-show, I'm like 45 hours in on a video game, and that 45 hours snuck up on me. I like checked my time play, and I was like, oh, right,
that's too many.
And yeah, and I'm not even close to done. But there's definitely like, there were times where like I didn't like play video games because I wanted to like, this is even before like I wanted to like sit in Goldfish, and like get better with my deck and like watch coverage and read articles. And like that's kind of gone, right? So you also want to like live that MTG finance lifestyle?
Well, I mean, finance gets a lot of bad press, right? Like all you hear people complaining about is how expensive old Magic cards are, and reserved list this, and speculators that, and whatever. But there's not many hobbies that exist that you can like sell out and recoup a reasonable portion of your investment, if not make money on your investment, while like getting enjoyment out of whatever you purchased. Like if you get into fishing and you spend $200 on a rod and reel and another $100 in tackle and something to put all that tackle in, like when you're done, all of that stuff is going to end up at a garage sale for nothing. It's not worth anything when you're done. Whereas with Magic, you buy into $1,000 modern deck, like chances are when you're done with it, it's going to be worth somewhere near that $1,000. Like maybe you cash out and get $700 for it.
Yeah. And you had a $300 rental.
Yeah. That doesn't happen with many other hobbies. And not that like this needs to return. I mean, obviously the finance is still a big portion of Magic, but it's a portion of the game that I enjoy as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that like finance, we've talked about this before, has gotten harder just because there's like 6 versions of every card now.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, you've got the, the regular version, the full art version, the
neon yellow
version, the whatever the like frame is for that set.
Extended art, regular foil, etched foil.
Yeah, so it's gotten a lot harder to like know, like to like play that game. On some level, it's made Magic a little bit more accessible in paper.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, you know, in theory, the person who wants the blingy version wants the blingiest version.
Yep.
So they buy the blingiest version, and that leaves you, as the person who wants to play the game, with, you know,
A cheaper
version to get. But at the same time, though, like, it makes it harder to, like, recoup your value.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like, oh, I'll buy the cheap version. But then, like, the cheap version doesn't go up as much because
or the card tanks and the cheap version takes a harder hit than the blingy version.
Yeah, and so like it just makes it a little bit harder.
Yeah,
but just keeping some sort of like, you know, financial aspect, or, you know, making it so you can move around in decks a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we don't want to get back to this. Is something that I haven't seen in a long time. Some of you newer players, you've probably never experienced this. Being at a tournament and hearing someone say, if I don't like top 8, I'm selling my deck.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we have anyone who's gone to a GP has seen someone, like, walk up to a vendor with a deck and just go, I'm done.
Yep.
And hand them the entire deck. Like, I've seen people
deck box in sleeves.
Here's an entire affinity deck, the full 75. How much will you give me for it?
Yeah.
And it's like, why are you getting rid of the deck? Oh, I went like 3 and 4 today.
Yeah.
Okay, that seems like a very short like view, like one data point. Okay. Right. So we don't want to go back to that. We want people to act semi-rationally. So I added something real quick to this.
Yeah.
And it was just, the title was just old cards.
What
I mean, old cards, is sadly they're never going to make a comeback. But like looking at modern and legacy deck lists now,
mm-hmm.
right? It's basically all cards printed in the last like 3 years.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Right. So like, Magic is losing a lot of its history. Apparently this year, I remember the 25th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
This year is going to be the 30th anniversary of Magic. And like, we're losing a lot of the history of Magic.
Yeah.
Because of like the Horizon sets and the power creep in the newer sets.
Yeah, the insane power creep. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know you don't follow EDH stuff a whole lot, but I saw, I think it was either was a title of an article or it was like a synopsis of an article from Star City that Sheldon Meanery had written. You know who Sheldon Meanery is?
Isn't he one of the people that like...
He's the inventor of the format. And
that's what I thought, yeah.
He's on the like rules committee or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was about like having to slow the format down, because the way that Wizards is really, you know, pumping up the power level of every format is by speeding it up. You know, making these hyper efficient, you know, 1 and 2 mana cards that it's wrong to do anything but that, because if you're not playing these hyper efficient 1 and 2 mana cards, they just snowball and take the game over. And like, that's kind of counter to what EDH is supposed to be. So they're actually looking, at least that's what I gathered from, like I said, it was either a headline or like a synopsis or something.
Yeah, I think I saw something similar.
But yeah, they're looking at ways to slow the format back down.
Yeah, and like that is... I mean, that's something we've talked about, right? The easiest way to make a power card more powerful is you just knock 1 mana off of it.
Yep.
Right? Like, we've all seen the difference between, like, a playable card and an unplayable card is 1 mana symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's like, oh, like, I mean, even look at the alchemy, or I guess the, like, historic rebalances and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, Fire's Invention is too good at 4 mana. But at 5 mana... basically unplayable.
It's a 5 mana review.
5 mana. Cool. Now it's perfectly safe. And it's like, oh, so like the difference between playable and not playable was just 1 mana.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of effects that like they seemingly took a mana off of.
Well, you can look at our namesake cards for today. You're blazing Root Walla over there, and I'm basking Root Walla over here. Completely unplayable at 1 mana.
Yes, but it's 0 mana.
It's 0 mana. Yes, just right.
just perfect.
Yep.
So like we've lost like a large chunk of Magic's history because you can't play Dark Confidant in Modern because it's too slow. Sorry, 2 mana, 2/1's too slow, and it just gets annihilated by Red and 7 or Red and 6, right?
Yep.
So like you just can't risk it. You can't just like spend 2 mana and have your opponent go 2 mana answer your thing.
Yep.
Right? Like you just can't do it. Right? And like that card was a staple in the format for like
forever.
And I understand that like people argue, well, you don't need like the format needs to change. It does, but like it needs to like maintain its history and identity. And like you can't just say that like Modern's identity is ruthlessly efficient. Right? Yeah. Like no, that's not its identity. Its identity is, like a place for like this large swath of Magic's history to like exist. And it's like, you look at like deck lists, like blue-red deck lists, and it's like, oh, like I guess Counterspell is the oldest card in this deck.
Probably.
And that's new to Modern.
Yeah.
But like everything else is printed in the last like 3 years. And it's like, is that really what we want? Do we want a format that like, is not this representative sample of everything? Or like Legacy. Like Legacy is dominated by cards from
Horizons
the last
cards.
Couple years. Yeah, Horizon cards.
Yeah.
So I know there's not a way to fix it without just banning all the Modern Horizons cards. But
you just want old cards to matter.
Yeah, exactly. Like they can't print cards in such a way to make old cards matter. Right. Unless like they like print a new like amazing Aloran WinCon. Or, they like kind of like pick some cards to like oh, this is a weird old card. Let's like make it good. Like that's super hard to do.
Yeah.
But it's really easy to be like, hey, let's make a Swords to Plowshares that costs no mana.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's easy. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, they have to pitch a card? Yeah, but
sure.
It doesn't matter. It's like, okay, yeah, cool. Right. So,
knock a mana off it.
Hit.
Knock a mana off it.
Knock a mana off it, exactly. Yep. Yeah, we knocked a mana off of Swords. It costs 0 now. So, like, just having that, like, getting that history back. Because, like, think about like, the decks that were good when we started playing Modern. And, like, the only one that is left is kind of Jund in name only.
Some of the current lists since the Luris ban have looked a lot closer to Jund than they used to, but
fair.
I mean, there's a lot of people that are just playing Rakdos midrange instead of Jund.
Yeah. It's like you've got Croxa and you have Dragon Race Chandler.
It's
fine.
There was a post on Reddit today about Tarmogoyf and how people couldn't believe that Tarmogoyfs are selling on Card Market, I guess over in Europe or whatever, for like future sight Tarmogoyfs, like the ones to have, right, are like $22.
Dear God.
Yeah.
That card was $200 for years.
Years and years.
Yeah, the most efficient creature in the history of Magic.
Yeah.
And it required you to do work.
Yeah.
And now, like, it's like Dragon Race Chandler. I guess it requires you to cast spells.
Probably going to do that anyway.
Yeah. Like, cool.
Yeah.
So.
And it pays you off for doing the work.
Yeah. It's like, it like enable you. It pays you off for doing a thing you were going to do anyway, and also enables itself all in one. It'd be like if Tarmogoyf like made each player mill a card each turn. Right? Like, oh, I guess he's making himself bigger. Awesome. Like that's Dragon Race Chandler.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're making yourself bigger and you're giving me selection. Oh, neat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just getting somehow having old cards matter. I know that like, we look back at like, I'm sure there's someone right now like waxing poetic about the days of like Canadian Threshold.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and like, yeah, that's not a deck we play anymore.
Well, I mean, every once
like,
in a while you'll hear somebody piping up about like blue-green madness, and I mean that hasn't existed in quite some time.
But like, I think just the speed at which like these formats have changed.
Yeah.
Right, like just when it was like Modern kind of settled, maybe after Modern Horizons 1.
Mm-hmm.
Modern Horizons 2 dumpstered it and changed it totally.
Yeah.
And like every set we've printed has put like, 4 or 5 cards into Modern.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And like I don't know, you're just losing your history.
No, definitely.
Like it almost feels like a lot of like Modern is, people have jokingly called it like Modern Horizons block constructed.
I mean, they're not far from the truth.
So like just somehow getting away from that.
Well, I've seen people talking about like, I forget what they're calling it, like premodern or whatever, where it's just cards that are, older than whatever set. But I wonder like if there's room for a thing kind of like what they're doing with Arena, where, they announced that we're doing some other non-rotating format than historic, and then we get midweek Magic is like just standard legal sets on Arena. I wonder if there's something like that for Modern where we can just kind of forget about all the ancillary stuff and kind of just play Modern.
I think that would be like a format like Old School, where like it's not a Wizard sanctioned thing, but like the community comes together and goes,
we've had enough.
No, we're going to do this different thing because we enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Kind of like Frontier was for a brief moment, where we got to sell all of our M15 cards that we had no value, and then it died. Yeah. Right? But something where it's almost like the Commander problem, right? Where like someone outside of Wizards needs to like make the format, and then once they make the format, if it takes off, then Wizards, at least acknowledges it. Right. So I don't know. I just don't want to look at deck lists and be like, oh, all of those, I have shoes older than these cards.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, decks, cards and legacy decks, most of them should be older than my students.
Yes.
And this is not the case.
Yeah.
So, I just want old cards to matter again. They were fun.
They were fun. I mean, there's some cool stuff. I mean, you talked about Alurin. Like, something like that will never be printed again. And, I mean, obviously, like, Alurin will have a place in Legacy always, even if it's not great, but even it, like you said, it's getting run over by, newer cards. Like, the Force of Negation is played in Alurin now, and Acererak is the new win con,
and I mean, but just like, the unique cards in Modern have been pushed out by, again, the ruthlessly efficient Modern Horizons cards.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, Dragon Rage Chandler at 1 in the red isn't playable.
Right.
But at red, it's too good.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that means you don't print it.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like, nope, we're printing it at red. And it, like, has taken over the format and pushed out, like, we have we've talked about this before, the super old-timey for competitive diversity.
Yeah.
Right, like, we've got to get rid of Splinter Twin, because why would you play any other blue-red deck that wasn't Twin?
Right.
Right? Why would I play any other blue-red deck that wasn't Dragon Rage Chandler or Murktide Regent?
Yeah, there's no reason.
There isn't one.
Yeah.
So, like, there's very few decks that play Mountain and don't play Dragon Rage Chandler.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Black-Red Rakdos mid-range, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dragon Rage Chandler, Monkey.
Yep.
Right? Blue-Red, Monkey, Dragon Rage Chandler, Murktide Regent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, It's just for competitive diversity. Like, if you play Mountain, you play this card. So why is it everywhere? Like, why is like it okay and Splinter Twin not? Because like Splinter Twin's not playable in this format.
No.
Like, not at all. Like, they could unban it. People would screw around with it for a few weeks.
Splinter Twins would get insanely expensive.
Yes, I have some. Yeah, unban it so I can turn a profit. But pump and dump. But you would like unban it, and it would be like not like Splinter Twin. Okay, you're tapped out. Twin you, cool. I will Solitude your nerd. Oh,
yeah.
Dang. Okay.
For no mana.
For no mana, or like, oh man, I'm gonna have
I'll
one
force
mana.
that.
Yeah, I'll force that because Force of Negation gets it.
So does Force of Vigor.
Yeah. So, like, any number of, like, we just named 3 0-mana things.
Right.
That just, like, clown Force of Will. And so, like, we're at a point where, for competitive diversity, there's just this chunk of cards that, like, gets, like, there's no reason not to play.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I just want to, I want to be cascading into living ends and not into not into crashing footfalls.
There was a living end deck in the latest deck dump, I think. A couple of them.
There is. It floats around from time to time. But yeah, we've just come like so far from where like things were, and maybe it would be less jarring if we had been playing Modern once a week or once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
As this happened, maybe the changes would feel slower.
Yeah.
But it just feels like every time I like check in on like Modern deck lists or I see like tweet about Modern decks, I'm just like, oh,
unrecognizable.
Yeah, none of these cards were legal the last time I played Modern. This is weird.
So I got a real quick tangent, like completely not related to our show topic at all.
Okay.
Have you seen like any of these Fable the Mirror Breaker decks? Like somebody wrote an article last week about how like this card went from nowhere to everywhere like overnight. It's in like multiple formats, multiple different decks.
Yes, I have seen it show up in like random places. Like I'm playing some of my like Grixis Reanimator deck.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little lower on it, and then I was like, oh, this is just like someone described it as like it's Seasoned Pyromancer.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, it is.
I haven't played with it at all, and I haven't read any of the articles. I was just curious what your take was. I didn't know if you'd seen it, messed around at all.
I've seen it, like it's shown up in Modern.
Yeah,
it's like weird because it is a card that like doesn't make sense that it's getting as played as much as it is because it doesn't feel like it's as good as like Seasoned Pyromancer.
Yeah,
but it's kind of like taking that spot.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like another card that seems like but when you add everything up, it's like, oh, this card's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then like it's good enough that it like creeps back to Modern. Like you shouldn't have 6 cards that go into Modern every set.
Yeah.
You shouldn't.
Well, I think like just speaking of the Fable, the Mirror Breaker, or whatever, I think it's like it's kind of hard to evaluate sagas anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get like the effect over time. So like the effect has to be better than it reads in order for it to see play, if that makes any sense to you.
Yeah, we're like a Seasoned Pyromancer, right, gives you the card, like, filtering, and the body the turn you play it.
Right.
Right. This gives you that, but over 2 turns, so it has to be a little bit better than that on some level to even compete. And then, like, a Seasoned Pyromancer gives you, best case, 4 power. Before you, like, flash it back or whatever.
Yeah.
And this does the same thing.
Yeah.
But over, like, 3 turns. But it is funny how the card, no one talked about it, and you just keep seeing it pop up in deck lists.
Mm-hmm.
It's, like, weird.
I may have ordered a bunch of foils.
Ooh.
It's an interesting card that's hard to reprint, right?
It is, and it's seeing play, so.
Yeah. When I went through and did my initial order, I ordered a bunch of foils for like $25. I think they're $4 now.
Oh, geez.
Yep.
Doing it. So next up we have, what do we want from
Huey's OP stream?
Huey's stream. What are we hoping for here?
Well, it's supposed to be Huey's OP stream. Huey is the director of organized play, or I don't know what the official title is, but that's close enough. That's what I'm going to call him.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping there's going to be more of a focus on paper play than we've had over the last 2 years, which has been none. So something as far as changes to FNM, get people back in the local game store, is what I'm really hoping for. On top of that, they kind of alluded in like the last stream that we talked about some sort of changes to OP on Arena as well, and I agree that needs to be done. The ladder works for some people and fits in with the esport thing they've been trying to fit in with, but it's not very Magic, and I don't think it's good for the game. So some way to make like OP on Arena feel more like Magic, more like a tournament structure with different tiers.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, something at the local game store level, whether it's, FNMs or game days or, PTQs or whatever. Like I don't have my hopes up that we're going to get the old system back where we had, PPTQs, RPTQs, and Pro Tours. They canned that for a reason, and I don't see just because Huey's there, they're going to bring it back. But some reason to play Magic in the way that I want to play Magic instead of how they want me to play Magic.
Yeah. If you look at the idea of using Arena as a qualifier, I think that's fine. I think that you could imagine, if you will, the it's hard though, the qualifier weekends. Let's say that every weekend they did every once a month they did a qualifier, like they do now, right? Or something that you had to qualify for, you have to if you go 7-0 in one of their league things, or you get however many wins and get constructed with 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. That gives you an invite to the qualifier
weekend
tournament, and then you get to do that.
Yeah, I mean that's great, because that's playing Magic the way I want to play Magic, not having to grind on Arena or grind on the ladder with a million other schlubs.
And the part of the ladder grind that is super bad or frustrating is if you have the time to grind the ladder at the beginning of the month, that is less valuable than if you have the time to grind the ladder at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Right? I popped in the ladder at number 500 on the 5th of the month. Well, now you're just in this constant struggle to maintain that ranking.
Right.
Right? Versus I popped in Mythic at 500 on the 28th. Right now it's I gotta hold it down for 2 days. I might not move that much.
Yeah.
Right. So it's very, and the wild swings.
Yeah.
Are also you get paired and you win a game, and it's you go up a rank, but then you lose a game and you go down 300. And you're just so I don't really want to play, but if I don't play, you're gonna decay me out anyway.
Yeah.
So it doesn't reward you for playing. So yeah, something like that where we're back to playing tournament Magic.
Yeah, it's also gives some incentive. It's not really, I don't want to jump on the mental health bandwagon or whatever, but it's not good for your brain to be in constant competition, you know what I mean? Having to worry about your rank all the time. And it's not something that most players have time to do. I'm a competent Magic player at the least, and I don't have time ever to grind the ladder to a point where I'm going to, make a qualifier weekend. There's just not enough hours, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas anybody can hop into a 7-round tournament or a 5-round tournament and run hot and get into a qualifier. Like maybe there's some less experienced players that want some of the experience of making a high level tournament, playing with some higher level players, and they got lucky one Thursday night or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too dissimilar from like the Magic Online qualifying system.
Yeah.
Right, where you like win a smaller event, like it's a specific event, but you win a specific smaller event, and then you turn that into a and the net qualifies you for whatever the like you win a prelim, then you get into the Magic the Gathering Online qualifier.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like they could even make a queue that is like the qualifiers.
Yeah.
Right, for
like make it
the
own
arena
event.
weekend. Yeah, make it its own event. So like you might run into a higher quality of competition because you have people that are playing that.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of complaints about the ladder. People complaining that like the decks are bad and stuff. And I'm like, I just play against like, I don't know, half like meta black-white control decks.
Well, I mean, the other problem with the ladder is something that we had talked about like way early in Arena, where there's some sort of matchmaking there. So it's not like a true ladder where it's, it's random. You play against somebody else out there that's at your level. But there's some sort of matchmaking algorithm where, if you're playing a mono red deck and you run into 5 mono red decks and then like you change your deck and then there's no more mono red decks.
Yeah. And like part of that is like there's like a matchmaking based on like cards you're playing.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to like, they're trying to protect the people that are like free to play on some level. Like, oh, you just started and you made it to like gold, right? Well, we want you to keep playing matches that are like competitive.
Yeah.
We don't want you to just play like Goldspan Dragon like 12 matches in a row and like never be close to being close.
Get Hullbreaker Horde to oblivion.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, I don't want to play anymore. I don't want to log on. It's not fun.
Yeah.
And like, so they're trying to avoid that, which does lead to, my tinfoil hat of like, I've played nothing but like, I played 70% mono red, so I'm going to put like Cerulean Drake in my deck. I'm going to play like blue-white pro-red. And then
never see mono red again.
10% mono red for the next like 4 hours. And it's like, how does this make any sense? Like, why is my metagame wildly different?
Yeah.
Right. And like, it's just, I mean, there's that, and there's just like no, I don't know. Again, that's like disconnected from anything. Like, what are you like supposed to do? Like, oh, hey, I went like 7-0 on the ladder. Okay, no one cares.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
but like that's a big part of Magic, though. Like the metagame is playing the metagame is a big part of tournament Magic. And
it is.
If they can change your metagame based on what cards you're playing, then like there's no point in playing the metagame.
Yeah, there is no metagame.
Yeah.
Because your metagame is yours with that deck on that day.
Yeah.
Or in that session. And then if you change your deck, you're just like totally changed. Because there's so many, like, they just pair you with a different batch of people.
Right.
But what I meant is like, I went 5-0 on the ladder versus I went 5-0 in this event, right? Like, that would be much more, like, a bigger point of pride. And imagine if they had, like, legit tournaments on Arena that they could actually publish the 5-0 decks from these events.
Yeah.
Right, as opposed to what we get now, like Platinum or better player goes 7-0 with like a pile of random garbage that like then Saffron Olive plays and like can't get any wins. And it's like, I don't know how does this deck have 18 lands and like 4 or 5 drops? This makes no sense. This is not good deck construction.
Yeah.
And you're like, Wizards, how did this happen?
Well, you see, what happened was that person ran How Does the Sun and it tripped our algorithm, and then you got the deck list.
Yeah, I guess like there were 6 strokes and 1 disconnect involved. It was a killing field.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that would be good. I think the biggest thing that can come out of the Huey OP stream is rebuilding the connection from F&M to something bigger.
Right.
Right.
Like I said, a reason to play in the store.
Yeah, but when they got rid of, oh gosh, what was it? Like buys for like
GPs.
GPs with like your planeswalker points or whatever, right?
Yep.
And I was like, well, that I tried to engage in the discourse and got dunked on by Jace from Dominaria, but like that takes away someone who is starting out. That's like they see a GP or they see a Pro Tour, and it's like, hey, if you play a lot of Magic here and get better, right, you can earn yourself an advantage when you go to this bigger tournament. So that if you do well there, you could get to the show, right? And it feels like they killed the show.
Yeah.
Right? And they made it so there's no connection between you playing at your store and the show, right? And so, like, restoring that dream for players, for me, for you, for everyone who is, like, you know, an F&M player or, you know, was like we were casual tryhard PTQ grinders, right?
Yeah.
We would go to the ones that were like reasonably close. There were a lot of people, right? Like this was like a group of people that you don't hear about anymore, right? They're the forgotten people that were like, just like would plan their entire like month, or year around like, okay,
trying to hit up stores that like were kind of out of the way and they thought we were going to have a weak turnout.
Or like, that were like, okay, like there's a tournament 4 hours from me.
Yeah.
If we leave at 3:00 in the morning, we can stop and get breakfast and be there by player meeting at 9.
Yeah.
Right? And like would just drive all over the region to like play. Like those people have no reason to engage with the game right now.
Right.
At least not in that way. Right? And like, you know, the qualifier like weekends or whatever, right? The ones that you win like $1,000 or $2,000. Those are like giant tournaments. They're like the biggest GP ever.
Oh yeah, they're huge.
Right? So you have that, and then like, you know, the tournaments that like you had to qualify for, those are also pretty big. So, right, it's just a much different thing. There needs to be a show, right? There needs to be like the big leagues, whatever, like, and that needs to be appealing-ish, right? It might not ever be as generous as it once was, but it needs to be appealing,
right?
So that people have something to like aspire to and dream that like one day I'll be on coverage at a Pro Tour.
Yep.
Right? Or one day I'll just make a Pro Tour. Like, that would be super cool. And if I play at F&M, that can be a super small step towards that, like, super cool goal.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why we started the show in the first place, is to get people hyped for that goal.
Yeah, and to, like, help them make those, like, first steps of getting into their store or, like, going to their first, like, PTQ at another place. And, like, that's all kind of gone now.
Yep. So is there anything else out of Huey that you're looking to see, or does that pretty much wrap it up?
I think that wraps it up. Like, the thing I worry about is, I think a university is not too dissimilar from like a corporation on some level.
Okay.
And Huey can have really big dreams and like have good ideas, but if his big dreams and good ideas ran into like the reality of
Chad,
we're gonna give you $50,000, figure it out, right? Like, so he is always going to be limited by the people above him and the resources that are allocated.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that what he comes out with is something that we all feel like comes from him.
Yeah.
Right? And not something that we feel like comes from Chad.
Yeah. Where you can look at it and say, oh, yeah, Huey did this, instead of, oh, I see what he was trying to do here, and this is what we ended up with.
Yeah, this is what he got handcuffed.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that even if it's not the previous system, which it's not going to be,
right,
it needs to be something that you feel like, oh, this is like player-centric.
Mm-hmm.
And something that we didn't touch on, and we might have touched on during our economy stream is, right, if a bunch of this stuff moves to Arena, right, the like barrier to entry on Arena for cards, right, like you have to like have have this big investment to like test and stuff on Arena.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just gonna be a barrier for people.
Yeah.
Or like you tested in paper. Now like you've got to spend all this money on Arena.
Right. To get your wild cards.
You know, bro, I love it. I love it, bro. Spend more money, bro. Do it.
You don't have to open the packs.
Yeah, bro, just give me $50. Save yourself clicking the button 10 times.
Yeah.
You gave me a button that says open 10. Bro, take that button away. I can spend the $50. Right? So I just hope that it's something that we look at and go like, okay, this is a player who's done something that is player focused. And, you know, we feel like, I think a lot of players just want to feel like they're being seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like the economy stream and like a lot of decisions Wizards has made in the last 2 years is making players not feel seen.
Yeah, for sure.
So hopefully people go like, oh, sweet, like this is something I can be excited about, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so that's all. Just be exciting and like have it come from Huey and not come from, you know,
Chad.
Corporate. Yes.
All right, so I got one more quick topic here. We don't have to spend a ton of time on it because I know there's no way for us to get this correct. But we also have new Capenna coming out soon. Previews should start within a week or two, I would think.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular you would like to see out of new Capenna? Now, I don't mean like, you know, mechanics or singular cards or whatever, but like a theme or something that you want to see represented or something you want to see done better.
I kind of feel like, I think I already talked about like, I think I want there to be like morph. I want there to be like a good limited smoothing mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
Right, since it's just you know, a 3-colored set's kind of hard to do that with.
Yeah.
And then where does the I was gonna look at previews.
Oh. Well, if pre-release is April 22nd,
so it's gonna be done on the 15th.
Yeah. So we have to start like April 1st.
The story stuff started today.
Yeah.
So there's a week of story, and then previews I believe on the 7th.
Okay.
So like previews are gonna be done in an entire week.
Yeah.
But like I want it to be like impactful and standard,
mm-hmm.
but not like, you know, not become the only thing to do. But that's hard in a 3-color set, right?
Yeah.
Because 3-color cards have to be powerful. Right? And our mana is pretty good.
Yeah. Well,
so
it's about to be better too because we're going to have triomes.
Yeah, so you'll be able to cast your stuff.
Yeah.
It's like we have like all the colors of dual land of like 2 sets of dual lands.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so I don't know. I just want it to be interesting, right? Interesting, but not like so powerful that it is like game breaking.
Puts 10 cards into Modern and Legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they've kind of like knocked the art out of the park. Like I just scrolled down and like saw the lands again, and it's like these are
cool.
These are pretty A+.
Yeah.
These are good.
I just want mid-range to be good again, and not like giant over-the-top like Sultai ramp mid-range. I just want like real mid-range back.
I think the problem with that right now, and it's not going to change, I don't think,
Hullbreaker
is, well, I guess there's 2 things. There's Hullbreaker, right? So, like, games can't go remotely close to long, because if they're playing islands, you've got Hullbreaker, like, just hanging over your head.
Yeah.
But, like, having played against, like, infinite black-white control decks, like, that deck does not have a, like, reasonable hull. And, like, you can't play, like, Siege Rhinos against, like, 6 Wraths.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, right now they're playing, like, Farewell and Doomscar. But, like, if Planeswalkers get too good, they're just like, okay, I guess we'll just play Blood on the Snow.
Yeah.
Instead of Farewell, or some mix. And, like, all of our cards are randomly, like, 2-for-1s. Okay. Right, like, so they have this, like, there's this, like, foot on, like, mid-range.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm sick of it.
Yeah. And, like, they don't know how to fix it. Like, we've talked about this before, right? Like, they keep printing cards at, like, 7 mana, thinking that's, like, safe.
And
but then
not.
they give us ways to get to 7 mana really easy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, their powerful commander cards need to be, like, 8 and 9 mana. And, right, like, I know that, like, we need to have, you know, Wraths around. But, like, just right now, how many, like, playable Wraths do we have in black and white?
Oh, way too many.
There are 4.
Yeah.
Right? They're Shadow's Verdict.
Yep. Blood on the Snow.
Blood on the Snow. Doomscar. And Farewell. And I might be missing one.
Yeah, I think you are.
Right? Like, how are you supposed to play, like, creatures into, like, that?
Yeah.
And then, you know, well, I'll play an Eye Twitch and it'll block and draw me a card. And I'm going to play, or I'll play Eye Twitch and then I will Deadly Dispute it after it blocks and I will draw 3 cards.
Yeah.
Right. Now, granted, that's a 2-for-3. But, like, you're still
well,
up.
It's a 2-for-3 that ramps you.
Well, not with Eye Twitch. What's his name? Oh, no, you're right, it does.
No,
because
Deadly Dispute makes it.
Yeah. Right, so, like, I've definitely played games where, like, I've been turd 3 lulfed. And they're just like, I'll play, you know, Shambling Ghast into Deadly Dispute into lulf.
Yeah.
Ooh, here's a good one. Here's something I would like, and this is a bigger overarching thing, but New Capenna can start the trend. Can we take ramp out of colors that aren't supposed to have it?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
like,
I don't know. The crime family's got to have treasure, right?
Oh, of course. But, so I guess we're going to have, like, Grixis ramp?
Maybe.
Right? Because, like, blue makes treasures, red makes treasures, and black makes treasures now. Right? But, like, I guess I am sick of the, like, every color has ramp.
Yeah.
Which, again, makes it, like, turn 4 Blood on the Snow is, like, totally a thing that can happen. And, you know, quick Doomscars and stuff. So you just have, like, I would like some of the old Magic color identity stuff as well.
To return.
Like, yeah. You know, can we, like, not print 3 mana 4/4 hasty flyers? Can we not? That ramp you in red?
Yeah.
Right. So, like, getting ramp out of colors that shouldn't have it. would be pretty all right.
Makes
But I
sense
will
to
also
me.
take some more super sick art from this set.
Yeah. No, it looks really cool so far.
Yeah, it's wild. Like, I want the limited environment to be good, but I've done like 25 Kamigawa drafts, and I'm like I really don't want to do anymore. And I usually would, like, the set's good, I'd like do 35 or 40, but I'm just like, like, okay, I've kind of done it. We're good.
So I
here.
wonder if pacing yourself isn't the problem.
Maybe it's not. Like, it's
because normally you'd have way, like, this is a good format. Normally you'd have way more than 25 drafts in.
What am I? I'm at 24. I think part of it is just like you get to the point where, and this is like a playing, on the ladder, right? You start running into, like, when people have figured out what the good decks are.
Yeah.
Right. You just start running into those a lot.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, green X is really good. So you just run into, like, tons of green decks.
Mm-hmm.
And you just feel bad when you're not, like, in green.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. But hey, I still have a 58% win rate. So we're still doing that. But, like, you know how exciting it is to open packs, Wizards? I have 100 unopened packs that I have, like, no desire or need to open.
Do you have any old packs that you haven't opened yet?
No.
Or is that all new Capenna?
This is all Kamigawa.
Or I'm sorry, Kamigawa.
I have 100 Kamigawa packs that I have not opened.
Yeah.
But opening packs is fun in Court of Magic. Maybe.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So, all right. I think with all of this, I guess, what do you want from New Capenna? What is the thing that you want?
I want a mid-range pack.
You want a mid-range? That is your big thing?
That is my thing. I am a mid-range guy. I would like mid-range back, please. And I don't want this, like, terrible Sultai ramp over the top mid-range. That's not mid-range. I want, like, red-black from Amonkhet mid-range. Like, that's the mid-range I want back.
Like, decisions that matter and...
Interaction, decisions, pressure.
Yeah. So what are our colors here? So I guess, like, you're hoping, huh? Well, I guess we have Jund.
We have Jund. Either Jund or Grixis, I think, is going to be.
Yeah. Naya will probably be aggressive. Bant will probably be, like, ramp.
Yeah, probably. Esper's going to be your control.
Yeah. I mean, it has, like, a hand saying no, so it kind of has to be, right?
No. Yeah. Yes,
and
either Jund or Grixis.
Yeah. Yeah, just something where, like, it's not embarrassing to play, like, a 4-drop.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, it's just, like, how many decks now, like, play 4-drops? Like, none.
Yeah.
Like, the decks I've played against is, like, your curve kind of stops at 3.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're playing, like, Hullbreaker Horror or in, like, Sweepers at, like, 5-6 mana.
Yeah.
But, like, 4 is just not a thing that's worth playing. Because I guess, like, yeah, maybe, because, like, even, what's it called? Zika's Chariot isn't super played anymore.
Right. Yeah, I can't even tell you the last time I saw an Zika's Chariot. I
played against Esper Greasefang.
Ooh.
With a Zika's Chariot.
Spicy.
The only way they can cast Zika's Chariot is off of the hanger.
Mm-hmm.
The mech hanger. So they play, like, 4 mech hangers, and then they just hope to reanimate it with Greasefang or cast it off of the mech hanger.
Sure.
Yeah, I was like, wild. Okay. Oh, I would take one better reanimation target for my stupid reanimation deck.
You got Hullbreaker Horror.
So I've been reanimating, what's his name? Velomachus Lorehold.
Mm-hmm.
So I read some stuff that Ben Sek had talked about with his 4-color reanimation deck. And he said, like, his goal was to turn 4 reanimate a Velomachus with another target in the graveyard.
Yeah.
So that you could cast another reanimation spell off of the attack.
Makes sense.
So I had Velomachus and Toxrill as 4 ofs, and then 2 Jin-Gitaxias into Coma.
Coma's good.
And like, yeah, but like, I don't know, they like, I want something that like comes, I want Massacre Worm.
Yeah.
Because like, Toxrill sometimes doesn't get the job done.
Yeah.
Like your opponent's gone like wide in their stupid white deck, and like, then they just kill your Toxrill and like they don't get small. Right? It's like I just want something that like I like do the stuff and it catches me up. And like now a lot of times it's like sometimes it like sweeps the board, but other times you're just like, oh, I'm still gonna lose to these idiots.
Are any of the other dragons worth playing? Like Beladros?
Which one's Beladros?
Pay 10 life, untap 10 lands.
Oh, I don't know. I hadn't tried. I had tried like I tried the red legendary dragon, the 6/6 haste dragon. But I haven't tried it in this build.
Or what about Old Gnawbone?
Oh, to just get like a bunch of mana?
Yeah.
Maybe. I haven't tried. I was going off of it. Like, there are times where like Jin-Gitaxias is amazing and wins you games. And then there are other times where it's just like a 2-for-1.
Yeah.
And then like it gets exiled and you can't bring it back.
Yeah.
Or like I like on back-to-back turns had my Jin-Gitaxias a Meat Hook Massacred. It was just like a 1-for-1.
Yeah.
I was just like,
awkward.
No, my 7-mana 5/5 is supposed to counter stuff. Should not be dead right now.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'll reanimate it again. Oh. Yeah, give me a better reanimate. Give me some giant Grixis idiot to reanimate. There we go.
I'm sure there'll be a giant Grixis idiot. It's a plane full of demons.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, give it hexproof or something. Or ward. That like matters.
No, I mean,
like, I was playing
you could
some
play
of the
that
ward
ward
dragons.
dragon. Yeah.
I was playing some of them. I was playing the one that like loses ward when it attacks. That was not a good look.
Yeah, no.
I played the Kamigawa ward dragon, and that was okay. Like I had someone like go off with a bunch of hallowed hauntings, and they attacked, and I blocked with my dragon, and I bounced like 15 tokens, and they conceded.
Awesome.
Like, they needed to wait, just not attack that turn, and, like, kill me the next turn with their, like, army of 8/8s or whatever.
Yeah.
And they attacked, and I blocked, and I just started highlighting all of their tokens, and they conceded.
Nice.
I was like, yes! Yeah. So, also, like, I keep thinking that, like, sacrificing a coil makes Coma hexproof. It makes him indestructible.
Indestructible. Or it taps things.
Yeah, which, like, against, like, the black-white decks is a problem because all of their removal, like, exiles.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh, Coma, buddy. I guess we have a 3/3.
It's better than not having a 3/3.
This is true. So, with all of that and my desire to have a big, dumb Grixis reanimation target for my, like, C-tier deck, I think we have a show.
Sure, we got a show.
So if you want to tell us what you're looking for a new Capenna, or like what you miss about Magic and what you want to see come back, right? You can get us out on all of our social medias. Just look at our description.
Yep, there's a link for our Discord in the description as well. Make sure you hop on over there. Again, we're going to be doing this tournament thing, and that's how we're going to do it, is Discord and MTG Melee. But like all of the information will be in Discord, so make sure you go over there and check that out. If you're looking to support the show, you can do so one of two ways. First is our TCG player affiliate link. Follow the link, tcg.CasualTryHardMTG.com. Whatever you do after following that link, whatever you purchase, we'll get a small percentage of to help keep the show going. And if you want to support us a little bit more directly, you can do so at patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. Patrons get access to our show notes, they get access to our pre-show, and you get put on my mailing list for a little bit of swag every once in a while. Probably towards the end of April, I'll be sending out my next mailing. So if you're interested in pitching a couple bucks in and getting put on the list, make sure you go ahead and do that. We got anything else this week, or is that going to do it? Make sure you check our tournament out.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, we need some people to test this.
Yes. So with that, we will catch you on the internet.
We'll catch you on the internets.